Hey guys, this is KSP with Tape, and today you join me for episode 7 of KSP Space Race, and the first thing we need to do is take down the defaced flag that Penguin defaced and rename it The Beardy Penguin Killed Batman's Parents, because, well, Penguin killed Batman's parents, and I think, I swear to God, I will crash Minmus into the surface, or with a gun made of your flags. Yeah, that's my threat. Stop messing with my flags, Penguin. It's getting kind of disrespectful. I'm nothing but nice to you, you Nazi communist bastard. Don't ask me how you can be both a Nazi and a communist. I'm very angry about the flags and I'm not thinking straight. So anyway, here we are, onto the moon. Onto the moon? No, we're on Kerbin, but we're headed for the moon. And we've built a new little lander. I think this is Apollo 8 or something. And we put it on a little rocket because we have a nuclear-powered lander, which is rather interesting. So we have lots of Delta V because we have a few things to do on the moon and a bit of jumping around because we've got some a contractor take some seismic scans on the surface of the moon, so we'll have to jump around a little bit. So yeah, there we go, just ditching that first stage and onto the second, using pretty much just KW parts, because KW rocketry is a rather nice mod. Yes, Apollo 8. And clamshell fairings, they're so beautiful, so realistic, so not stupid and shattery. But yeah, you can see, well, you could see the lander, and it's a fairly basic look at the lander. It's just got lots of fuel, well, yeah, it's got quite a lot of fuel on it, actually, and a nuclear engine, and some landing legs, and a bunch of science stuff. But anyway, after planning our maneuver out to the moon, here we are, just finishing off the fuel in the second stage and deploying the nuclear engine so that we can go on to the moon and discover all the lunar earthquakes and things like that. Yeah, there's quite a bit of this video that's in the dark, like that first bit where I took down the flag. But, well, it's mostly in the light, but there are a few bits. But it actually looks surprisingly better in 1.1 than it used to. But anyway, it looks like we're on a good course for the moon. Just need to change my inclination a little, because the first thing we have to do is save a Kerbal and put it in the cockpit, because, well, I rarely know who's going to be on my rockets. You know, so much so that I sometimes don't even have a Kerbal on my rockets, and they get in later. Most of my, a lot of my manned missions lately haven't actually started with a Kerbal. I've just put a probe on it and then gone and rescued the Kerbal, because I don't have to send a big pod with more than one person in it. And you know, I mean, what's the point in that? I mean, realism, sure. I'm about winning. But yeah. Here we are, just saving whomever happens to be here. Kerbal. Yeah, just Kerbal, that's what I'm going to call them. I think it's, I've totally forgotten, but I think it is a pilot, which is useful. But I may be totally mistaken. Got to do a quick inclination change, which is no problem with our nuclear engine, which has, well, a rather nice efficiency and a terrible thrust-to-weight ratio, but overall a pretty good Delta V. Just generally pretty good Delta V in efficiency. So yeah, here we are, just getting pretty close, and I'm just going to maneuver in. And the map is deceiving me because it's telling me where our orbits cross, but that's not actually where our closest approach is. But yeah, Nancy Kerman, apparently. It's weird when you get a Kerbal with a normal name. You cherish them. It's like when you get a Sean Kerman or Nancy or Carlos. Although that's, yeah, there is no Carlos, which is weird because isn't it a Mexican developer? Why don't they have cool Mexican names? You know, they've got weird names and, like, British and American names. I want Carlos Kerman. If there is a developer watching me, I want Carlos Kerman. That's like one of my favorite names. What are you doing to me, man? So anyway, yeah, now we've got to get down to the surface and go and scan for seismic stuff. That's the scientific term, I think, seismic stuff. And figure out what's going on with these moonquakes, which have been playing havoc with things. I don't know, I was trying to plot a movie in my head involving moonquakes, and then I realized, yeah, I probably wouldn't have that much problem, really, because, you know, we're not on the moon. Yeah. It's not kind of like an independent... Ooh, Independence Day 2 is coming out. It's funny, someone said about the Brexit thing, just like, leaving will be like Independence Day. They clearly haven't seen the trailer where, on Independence Day, England is destroyed by aliens. I mean... You know, it was just poor phrasing, no matter what you believe. Anyway, so let's get down to the surface, and, you know, stop Independence Day from happening. I don't really know what I'm talking about anymore, but, yeah. So, there's a little bit in the dark, but there should be a little bit of sunlight, because the moon orbits so slowly, which makes bases really hard, because you need to take loads of electric charge, or radiothermal generators, which are really, really expensive. But yeah, Nancy looks fairly happy. I guess she's probably definitely gonna be happy. I mean, she's no longer trapped in space. But she is aboard a tape spacecraft, so I mean, there's less chance of suffocation, but more chance of not having any fuel or not having a parachute. Like that one time I forgot to put a parachute on and the person had to jump out, but they did a sick ninja roll, so it was fine. But yeah, I think I've probably said this before, but if you ever see like tape space tourism, don't get on it. It might not be very safe. So yeah. Anyway, but here we are. It looks pretty cool. There's like a giant-ass cliff over there I kind of want to go and take a look at. And I think one of the seismic scans is over there. So yeah. But right now I'm just trying to land in the middle of them. I'm not really sure if I am within any of the kind of boundaries. Yeah, there's a lot of flicking back and forth into the cockpit so I can see my vertical speed. My vertical altitude, my altitude from the surface. That's what I wanted to say, because there's hardly any sunlight. But here we are landing on a bit of a slope, and we slide a tiny bit, but it's fine. So, well, we're sliding quite a lot, but I can't see that being an issue. It actually sounds like quite a serious issue, really. So yeah, I'm just going to take right off, because I don't really need to stay here. And I'm going to go and take my first seismic scan. And yeah, it's going to be great, probably. I think this is where the cliff is. Oh, no. The first one is just sort of here. I kind of mixed things around in my head. But yeah, the first one's just kind of sort of on the side of a hill, apparently. But yeah, I pretty much just fly towards these areas and then just slow down dead when I get into them, because I find that's the best way to do it. So yeah, there's a little bit of money, 22 grand for science, and I think when we do all of this we get like 100 grand. Hugely profitable. That's my first mission on this, is about money. My second one will be about science. That's pretty much just how I'm doing things now. And then I got some really cool stuff coming up later. That cough was actual cough, not me trying to cover up that I have cool stuff later. I'm actually pretty proud about that. But yeah, and also, parachute on the top of the spacecraft. I think that's a pretty big revolution for our spacecraft. This time someone won't have to ninja roll out of it. But that did make a much cooler shot. But anyway, yeah. So it looks like we actually will be on one of these big-ass cliffs. Which will be cool. I want to go and take a look at that and, you know, hopefully not fall off, because that is quite a steep cliff, but I really one day want to put a base there. There's a little ridge you can see. I'm going to try and remember. I think I put a flag down called "Stop Taking My Flag," so I didn't pick up on that. But yeah, Penguin's really got a. I think his space program in his. Oh yeah, seismic scan. Anyway, I think his space program is in so much jeopardy he has to keep selling my flags. But anyway, here we are on the edge of the cliff. I just wanted to take a look. And a tumble. So yeah, my cable's sort of fallen down the cliff, which I was pretty worried about. I was freaking out the whole time, like, oh my god, don't die, you're like half of the money. I mean, I care about Kerbals, not money. No, it's the money, obviously. I can get a new Kerbal easily. But yeah, so they're fine. Nancy took a bit of a fall, but she's good. So now we're just going to get back into our spacecraft, and I place myself just at the edge of the cliff, and then just fly back, because I can't be bothered to run. But yeah, Stop Taking My Flags is the name of that flag. Penguin, stop taking my flags, man. Are you running low on money? I can loan you money, dude. But anyway, apparently I lost some of that footage. There was a bit of a jump there. It just turned to night. Oh no, I think I've been recording with Bandicam. And then usually when you record with Bandicam, there's a crash and then you lose some footage. That's what happened there. But then I started recording with Fraps. So yeah, but I think we did miss one of the times I took a seismic scan. This was a little while ago, sorry, but yeah. But anyway, it looked a lot like this. But yeah, we got a lot of money and everything's good. That was quite a lot of money. I didn't see the actual value, but you know, it was like, I think the total for the mission was like 200 and something grand, which is awesome, man. We saved a Kerbal for about 100 grand, so we're doing well. We got money. We got about 3 million. Penguin seemed to say at the start of his other episode that I was behind him on money. Well, I took a quick look at his save. I'm not. I think I'm like $1 million ahead of him. Yeah, and he took a look at my save, I took a look at his, you know, it's all cool. We know what we're doing. He's probably ahead of me on science, but I don't have to worry about money no more. There was a time I don't have to worry about money no more. Yeah, I think I've started saying things ironically too much, and now I don't speak properly. Anyway, I don't have to worry about money anymore, because I made loads of money, basically. So, yeah. Let's just deorbit ourselves. 30 kilometers looks good, and yeah, I think I do cut through the fall back to Kerbin, because this is a very long episode already, and you know what it looks like, and here we are, hitting Kerbin. That's just, yeah, I couldn't be bothered to show all of that, because it's just falling back to Kerbin. And we grab a little bit of science from the deserts, because why not? And then recover ourselves 246.5 science. Not bad, and quite a bit of money. That wasn't really a science mission. But anyway, here we are with a bigger rocket, actually using a little bit of asparagus-y staging. Those boosters feed into the inside. I thought I might as well, because it's a competition. I don't know why I haven't been doing this, but yeah. I haven't done that in a very long time where you have the boosters feeding in, except for maybe a Falcon Heavy style vehicle, but yeah, but this is headed for Minmus. We're going to go visit our base and hoover up a little science, hopefully. We usually get like 1,000 or so science from this. And I'm bringing along a Bob Kerman, Corpin Kerman, and Melina. I think that's 2 scientists and a pilot. I don't know why I didn't bring along an engineer, because I should have, because part of this mission requirement requires an engineer. Well, my personal mission requirement, there's no mission that's actually going on here. I don't think I've even getting paid for this, but I don't really care. And I also think I probably should have saved a Kerbal from orbit, but so there's someone yelling outside. It's probably a child. Oh, wait. Damn it, schools have been let out. It's still school time, apparently. I finished my uni course, well, my uni year, like a month ago, but obviously they're much shorter, which I was really confused. I got home yesterday, I was just driving down the hill. Well, I was being driven down the hill. I don't drive because I'm not good at that sort of stuff. I'd definitely kill people. And I was like, why are there kids here in uniform? What the devil? But apparently they're still at school, so... Anyway, so here we are, just heading up to Minmus. I think I was saying something about... Oh yeah, I was going to save a Kerbal from orbit of Minmus, but I accidentally spliced them out of my save file while putting Penguin's craft in. Yeah, I was going to write a piece of code with that. I think I just didn't... I think I just forgot. I think it did actually work. I don't really remember. I probably should go and find that, because that would be really useful. I really hate having to pick stuff apart. I think I do have that program somewhere. I just wrote like a little bit of code to like splice the files together. And then kind of forgot about it. I should probably go and find that. Anyway, there's Penguin's Minmere station in a polar orbit, which is rather nice, I guess. And here we are just slowing her down around Minmus, not an ideal time. And then here we are just landing. I cut through a little bit of orbital nothing because really had to do a bit of skimming stuff out for time this episode. There's a lot of stuff in it. But yeah, so we're just going to go and land near the plane first, because we have a couple of Kerbal attachment system pipes. So I want to go and put a little bit of fuel in that plane to send on over to the road, to the base. However, I didn't bring an engineer, so I can't actually use those like fuel pipes, so that's really annoying. But yeah, Phoenix 6 will be here for a while, so I guess I'll have to send an engineer next episode, because my SSTOs are tied up with other things. But yeah, I'll have to send a engineer next episode to go and like attach some pipes to stuff so that we can actually, you know, reuse this Phoenix 6 for... I'm going to use it as a science rover, probably, or something like that, and just generally good to have an engineer down here. Yeah, this base seems really lonely, because I leave one Kerbal on it, and I only have a certain amount of launches, so they're probably going to die there, but obviously not the current, you know, base commandant, because that's Jeb. I don't know why I called him a commandant, he's not military, or maybe he is. I mean... most astronauts are military, you know, or a lot of them at least. Anyway, we'll grab the science out of this SSTO at least, because it did a bit of science last episode, and we're going to put it in the pod, and then, yeah, I tried to get this off, but I'm, yeah, just not a engineer, so that sucks, I guess. I didn't bring one, so I don't know why I brought 3 Kerbals. I'm very confused by my choice to bring 3 Kerbals and... oh, I guess I maybe... why did I not bring an engineer? Anyway, we're going to head over to the base. The bearded penguin killed Batman's parents' base. Because, you know, the bearded penguin killed Batman's parents because he hates freedom. And, you know, just... yeah, pretty much. So, let's go and land there. And I think we're just going to rotate the crew. We're going to put a different Kerbal in there and get Jeb out, because we need another pilot. And we're going to leave a scientist here, because that seems like a reasonable person to leave on the base. I was going to call that Penguin killed Batman's parents, but I realized there's like a Batman villain called Penguin, so people will be like, wait, no he didn't. And I was like, I should probably use the bearded penguin's full name. So anyway, we're going to put, I think, Milana in here, and then throw Jeb into the spacecraft to be our commander-in-chief, Barack Obama himself. What? Anyway, so let's, yeah. So there he is, all snug in there. Anyway, after warping a little bit into the daytime so you can actually see what's going on, I'm going to go up and try and do a little bit of science. I think up here I thought was the Highlands. Turns out it's actually the Midlands, so I only get a little bit of science from up here. But then I'm going to head on to the poles later, but we'll see that in a bit. I'm just grabbing every little bit of science that I can, because I have a scientist on board, so... so I can reset all the scientific things. So I'm just going to pretty much hoover up as much science as possible. I'm not sure if you can get to the end of the tech tree with just the moons anymore. You might be able to get to the end of the normal tech tree, but probably definitely not the interstellar one. But I will be mitigating that this time. Anyway, I was trying to land in orbit mode, which is really difficult because it's screwing with you. I was like, what is going on? But I twitched to surface. I was like, oh, my velocity was all messed up. So yeah, here we are, just touching down gently and take a crew report. Apparently we have done some science here, but not crew reports and things. But there's a heavy chance that there'll be some science I haven't done, like seismic scans and surface samples, because I may not have had a seismometer or yeah, and I'm getting some repeat experiments as well. I might not have done I might not have had a seismometer or the ability to do surface samples last time I came here. So yeah, but apparently I have done a seismic scan. Apparently I've definitely been here, but I guess it is the Midlands. So yeah, we're just gonna get back in the pod. Apparently not try and take a surface sample, or maybe I tried to do that high up, because sometimes you can take a surface sample while on the spacecraft. Oh wait, what's going on? This looks like repeat footage. It wasn't. I just forgot to take the mystery the materials unit experiment out of there. But anyway, yeah, so we are heading up to the poles. I haven't been there yet, and it's a pretty distinct place, so we're going to fly on up there. We've got tons of fuel, because it's Minmus, and this is a relatively high Delta V spacecraft. And yeah, we're going to see what's going on. We're still above the, I think, Midlands or something like that right now. But here we are above the poles, so I better slow myself down, land and figure out what's going on at these poles. Which, I forgot what I was going to say, but something about science. Yeah, and we'll hoover up some science, because we definitely do need science. We really need to start getting ahead in the science thing. We've definitely got enough money now. I think we've got about 3 million on reserve, and we have the most upgraded science center, and all the other buildings are relatively cheap. So yeah, so we're gonna get a lot. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of science. What I did there was I took the reports out and put them back in so I could do 2 crew reports. Top tip. That's a tape tip, actually, not a top tip. What am I talking about? And we're gonna throw down another flag. And I don't know, tape poles landing, and then something, because I just couldn't think of anything at this point. These I've been recording for a while. These tend to take me a little while to record, and also it's really late because I have been moving. I am back home now, as I mentioned earlier when I was my little anecdote about schools. But yeah, I'm back home, so this has been really late. So I'm sorry, sort of, but not really, because I have to move. So read a book. Anyway, so it's time to go home. Yeah, talking to going home, the Kerbals are doing the same. Yeah, so I think just... Oh yeah, we're about to hit Minmus Station as well. But I do just miss it. Although I think it did load in, which is a shame. I really wish I'd seen that, but I guess not. Maybe I should go and steal it. And, I was going to steal all of Penguin's flags, make them into a super weapon, and destroy his freaking space station. So yeah, there's no real ideal time to leave, because I'm in a really bad position, so I just burn. And then I'm going to do my retrograde deorbit burn in orbit of Kerbin, and while I'm here I realise, oh my god, the Moho window is coming up really soon. I thought that was next turn. I apparently didn't really look at that properly. I maybe miscalculated taking 30 away from 30, and I thought that I had a turn left. So I really want to go to Moho, or Dres, I guess, but preferably Moho, because I'll get there quicker. And I only have SSTOs left, so I'm going to have to throw something together. Yeah, you can see Dres is in 3 minutes, and Moho is in 6 days. So I'm thinking Dres. No, Moho even. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to go to Moho. Don't have any rockets left, so that's fine. We have big-ass SSTOs that can haul stuff into orbit. But yeah, bit of a miscalculation. I was like, I totally have another time, and then I thought I had more time, but I just didn't have any time. And so I've grossly miscalculated how long this turn has taken, but so far I'm pretty sure it's 18 days. But yeah, here we are, just doing our deorbit burn, losing our solar panels, ditching the service module. Everything burns up. I haven't really done anything to make reusable rockets in this series. It's because reusable rockets are just quite a big commitment, and they take a really long time to do, and this series already takes me a long time to record, so yeah, I probably could be a lot richer. I think I figured out I could have been like $2 million richer if I'd reused all my rockets, but yeah, what are you gonna do? Yeah, I just don't have time. But anyway, we get that back. We got 1,200 science, by the way. I know you didn't actually see that, but we unlock enough stuff to build this. My big-ass SSTO. It's actually reminiscent of the SSTO that flew to Duna, except it's not going to go very far. It's just taking a payload into orbit, which will be heading to Moho. Yes, that's what that Minmus mission was really about. Getting enough science to unlock all of these parts, better wings, the giant, cargo bays and cockpits and stuff. The cockpit doesn't have anyone in it. It's actually drone control, but I don't have a good nose cone for that. So, actually, I definitely do. God, I'm so stupid. But anyway, it's fine. And it has 8 Rapier engines and 2 nuclear engines and lots of wings and stuff, big swept wings. Because you want big swept wings. They probably could be better. But yeah, it doesn't have a ton of thrust-to-weight ratio, so I'm still going pretty slowly at 7 kilometers. And then we'll have to flatten out in a bit just to gain some speed and increase the thrust on the engines. Because the faster you're going with these engines, the more thrust they pump out. So there's kind of this weird thing where you have to go flat to go up, basically. So you can see I'm starting to flatten my trajectory gently here so that I get more thrust out of those engines, and when I get to about 400 meters a second, they will be nearing peak thrust, and we will be able to push ourselves to the altitude where we will be able to get into orbit using the Rapier engines, rocket mode, and obviously the nuclear engines. And yeah, we're seeing just passing the sound barrier, and then we'll have to get about 100 more meters per second before these are truly effective. But yes, this is pretty much, like I've said, a similar design to the one I used to go to Duna. And I may send a full-on plane to Duna, probably with no one in it, because, you got to take a lot of life support. Although this definitely could probably take enough life support in the cargo bay. But anyway, yes, we've gotten up to some serious speed now when we fired up the nuclear engines along with the jets to get as much velocity as possible. I want to be going at least 1 kilometer per second before I switch over to rocket mode. And we're still getting about 100 meters, 90, 80, basically 80 and change meters of the kilonewtons of thrust out of these Rapier engines. But yeah, now I switch them over to rocket mode. And we'll push ourselves on into orbit, pitching up a little so we gain altitude. And we need basically enough time to get to orbital velocity with 2 nuclear engines, which will take a seriously long time because they have a very low amount of thrust, and we are a very heavy plane and with very heavy payload. So yeah, just gotta push on. The oxidizer burns out, but we definitely have enough delta V because nuclear engine magic. And yeah, so we're already at 2 kilometers per second, but the difference between 2 kilometers per second, the kind of trajectory, and 2.27 kilometers per second is death and not death, which is a pretty serious distinction. But yeah, apoaps is now at 80 kilometers. It's looking pretty good. You want it to be your apoaps to be relatively high, so you have a little bit of slip when you're burning towards another planet, because you may want to burn down towards Kerbin, and then you know how you do burns. Sometimes you have to burn down towards Kerbin, and so you want at least 10 kilometers of slope while going interplanetary, especially to somewhere like Moho. But yes, the plane gets into orbit, a rather gigantic plane. But annoyingly, it appears that the fuel lines have glitched out on my probe, which means most of my fuel has been, well, almost all the fuel in the exterior tanks here has burned out since these fuel lines have gotten all messed up. Also, it means only half the fuel lines are connected to the probe, so it's going to burn down half of the fuel on one side, and you don't need fuel lines, so it's going to burn down. It's going to burn down at different rates. Basically, it's going to burn half the fuel on the fuel on one side first, and then the fuel on the other side second. Basically, is what that probe's going to do. Instead of burning them all equally. So I really just shouldn't have put fuel lines on, or should have made sure the fuel lines were all pointing inward. So yeah, that's a little annoying, but I'll just make sure that I burn from the center tank first, and then pump all the fuel into the center tank. It is a bit of a problematic probe. But yes, that fit in the cargo bay. It's pretty impressive. It's like a 14-ton probe, and I hold it to orbit with an SSTO. So yeah, you can see I'm just not allowing myself to burn any fuel from all of these side tanks. And the first thing we need to do is bring this SSTO back, this giant-ass thing, which I've put all of the fuel in front so it falls like a lawn dart, so it doesn't flip out pretty much. And I did lose a little bit of footage. You noticed I started about 40 kilometers. Apparently I didn't hit record, but basically I did do a few of those shuttle maneuvers where you turn hard, left and right, so that you slow down but don't change your trajectory, and you do it high in the atmosphere so you don't burn up. But that was pretty unimportant anyway. So yeah, here we are just falling into the atmosphere, and I'm starting to pick up quite a lot of heat. So I start to pull up in a little bit so that I can do kind of a like skip off the atmosphere basically and come back for another run. And yeah, I'm starting to rise out of the atmosphere again. You can see I'm just pulling up using the aerodynamics of the spacecraft to my advantage. Although I guess it's an aircraft now, not a spacecraft, since it is in air. Well, it's mostly surrounded by plasma right now, but yeah, it's not a plasma craft. I mean, what are you talking about? I guess there's an aircraft, a spacecraft, a boat craft, which is just a boat, a watercraft even. Is there a solid craft? That's a car, Peter. I'm a smart guy. Anyway, so after our little second skip, we come in for a re-entry at a much more forgiving speed, and it actually seems to be going sort of alright. Nothing's exploding, and we haven't lost anything yet, which is good. And I'm going to start to turn a bit because we've gone past our runway and we want to come back. And annoyingly, I should have gone for the KSP 2 because that was a much bigger runway. And I start to flip out here, but I do regain control. Basically what I do is I stop SES fighting me, and I pull the old fighter maneuver where when you're spinning out, you fire up the afterburners and burn downwards, so you're more like a rocket. And then aerodynamics has less control of you, and that's what I do. Yes, we're actually we're going to pull around and head for this runway, and it's a bit of a long flight, so here we are. And it's a bit of a small runway, a bit of a big plane, but luckily I have been practicing my carrier landings recently, because I have some videos planned on that. But still, that's quite different, because a carrier landing, you're usually landing a little fighter jet, which is nice, or a World War II fighter as it is. Can you figure out what video I'm preparing for? Anyway, but despite that, I get on target, but something interesting happens, and after kind of deploying these and almost falling over, which went horribly, something interesting happens. I do manage to, after all that, touch down, but I bounce right up, and that goes rather horribly, so I go for another pass. I have no idea what happened then. After all that kind of moving around and failing, I kind of bounce into the air, and I just go around for another pass. And this one, I do slightly more gently, you know, I'm not lining up very well, but I know how to fly in KSP, you know, once you get flying, you're like, oh my god. But yeah, I take too long to get to the end of the runway, and I do the sick, like, turn there, but I don't slow down enough, so here I am, trying to land on the grass. So yeah, that was really stressful, but I do land on the grass, and all is good, all is right with the world. So yeah, that was a pretty stressful landing. Especially at 4 times time accelerator, Jesus. But anyway, back in orbit with the probe, it's much calmer. We have to perform a 6-minute burn to get down to Moho's orbit. And then we'll have to do a plane change and a capture. And I took a little bit of fuel off this before I launched it to take down the mass. And now I'm thinking I shouldn't have done that. Oh yeah, and while transferring fuel, I fucked something up. So that went horribly. And it started to, you know, started to induce a turn, but everything worked out. Yeah, so my plan is to pump all of the fuel from these outer tanks into the inner tanks, which is a bit of a problem. But yeah, I'm starting to think I might not have quite enough Delta V to land on Minmus, Moho even. So my plan is I'm going to send another one after this with a little more fuel. Kind of an old-style NASA mission where you send 2. But anyway, it was a long burn, so I cut it out. And here we are just completing it, getting down to Moho's orbit. This is also a pretty bad burn. You can see I'm actually going inside of Moho's orbit first. Which, I don't know why I did that, but it looks worse than it is because it's inclined. But yeah, still, it's not great. But anyway, yeah, so that's on its way. And while that's heading down there, I'm going to send another one in the same plane. Just another one with a little bit more fuel, basically. So it's a little more massive, but, you know, probably good. But yeah, this is what NASA used to do back in the day, pretty much. They'd send 2 of the same mission, so that if one fails, they have a second. And if not, then I have 2 missions, which is awesome. That's double the science, and it's Moho, so I'm going to get there relatively quick. You can see Icarus 1 up there in the couple of alarm clocks on the left, top left. So it says Icarus 1, 93 days. That'll be my inclination change. And yes, I've named these probes Icarus 1 and Icarus 2 because, you know, Icarus flew very close to the sun. Yeah, I have cut out bits of this burn because, you know, very long video already. But yeah, Icarus 1 and Icarus 2 flew too close to the sun. No, not the probes. Icarus, you know, was it Icarus or Daedalus that flew too close to the sun? I feel like it was Daedalus. Anyway, hopefully our wings won't melt off and we will get to Moho, is what I was going for before all my words fell apart. But yeah, pretty similar thing, really. Just burning on into orbit. So I have cut a few bits out of this because, my god, this was long. It took me a long time to record as well. It must have been like at least 4 hours of footage. Maybe not quite 4. But anyway, whatever. So here we are just completing the orbital burn, and here we are in orbit, which is rather nice. Deploy the solar panels, and later we will send the probe off to its destiny down at Moho, following its brother Icarus 1. This one just had a little more delta V, and will definitely be able to land, whereas the other one will probably be able to land, but I'm not sure. And yeah, you can see there's a little bit more fuel. I also haven't put fuel lines on it, so it will just automatically burn from all of the outer tanks at the same time, which is nice. That's much better than Icarus 1. So yeah, pretty good, really. But we still have a few things to do. I've set up the burn. Set up the maneuver anyway. We just cut through that because you don't want to see me setting up a maneuver. Or maybe you do, but I didn't want to put it in the episode because it's already 35-something minutes. Yeah, but maybe I will. There's lots of tutorials for setting up maneuvers, you know. Anyway, so here we are. It's a 6-minute burn again, and we're going to head on up there. No annoying induced pitching and rolling and yawing because we fly right near the plane. Cool. Anyway, yeah, no induced pitching and yawing because we have all the fuel in the right place. And it's all just to send this tiny little lander down to Moho. Yes, there is still no way of doing this particularly easily without ion engines. You have to bring a hell of a lot of fuel, and even with ion engines, Jesus. But yeah, just carrying on the burn, getting down there, and this is a much better planned maneuver, you can see. It will be a slightly more hefty inclination change, but I think it works out cheaper, and we have more fuel anyway. And yeah, you can see the amount of landing fuel I have relative to the amount of liquid fuel I have, amount of transfer fuel I have. I have like 27 units of landing fuel and 2,000 units of transfer fuel. But yeah, here we are just laying in the final maneuver so that we, you know, come into orbit, Moho, rather nicely. And I've actually, yeah, having to put it around the right side. And yeah, that's about 1,300 meters a second, and I think it's going to be about 5,000 meters per second to slow down. I was thinking it would be more like kind of 4,500 meters per second, but I think that was probably wishful thinking. But yeah, hopefully both the probes will orbit and we'll get a hell of a lot of science, and if not, well, no, both of them will orbit, they just might not be able to land. One of them might not be able to land. Anyway, here we are, just bringing back the SSTO. Yeah, just realised the footage wasn't at 4 times time accelerate, but now it is. Yes, this is just, I thought I might as well show you what I meant when I said shuttle turning maneuvers. It's basically when you just go kind of belly flat into the atmosphere just to try and slow down, and you turn left then right so that you don't actually change your trajectory overall. But yeah, here we are, just entering the atmospheric heating, getting a bit of heat there, and hopefully all will go well. But I can tell you that it doesn't, and you will see... basically, I did my kind of skip off the atmosphere too high, so I didn't burn off enough velocity, and we lost the cockpit. Luckily, this is probe controlled, but this does mean it's unstable, so I'm, you know, quickly trying to put all the fuel in the front so that it falls like a lawn dart, but it might not because it's lost like 3 tons from the front, so it's pretty unstable. So yeah, it starts to tumble pretty seriously, which is a bit of a shame, but I might be able to get this back. Maybe. I'm alright. I'm trying to do the thing where you light up your engines just to make yourself fall straight, and it works! We gain control back. And yeah, and I almost lose it again, so I decide it's best just to tell the SAS to lock me into... Well, after I gain control again, using the kind of rocket maneuver is what I call it, where you just go so fast that you null aerodynamics, basically. I'm trying to set up all the control surfaces to work properly, and I've got to fly this back to base. Basically, yeah, when I did my kind of skip off the atmosphere, I did it at 40 kilometers, not 33, so I didn't slow down enough, and everything went to hell. Yes, returning SSTOs is no trivial matter. But anyway, we are going to try and fly back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my standard thing when I'm doing this sort of thing, and just burn really fast upwards and do basically almost like a suborbital hop, but we don't actually leave the atmosphere to get to where I want to go, so I don't have to keep burning, especially at this point. I want to be in as thin atmosphere as possible. Apparently this has been marked as debris, which is totally not, so I rename it to a ship so that it, you know, can definitely be recovered and stuff. But yeah, here we are, starting to fall back, but as I start turning, we start to lose control, and I flip, and actually the back wing, a bit of it, well, a bit of the right wing pops off, and we lose some control surfaces and lose aerodynamic stability, and everything goes to shit. So yes, we have lost this plane, but hey, we got the other one back, and we have 2 probes heading for Moho, so that's good. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you're looking forward to future episodes where we will be slaughtering Penguin in the awesome battle of science. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this. This has been KSP with Tape. I will see you next time.